As the countdown to 2025 begins, we are thrilled to have you as part of the Business Roundup journey. With 288 episodes produced and counting, your continued support inspires us to deliver the stories that matter most. Without further ado, let's dive into this week's highlights. I am your host, Joram Ssonko. Uganda Revenue Authority commits to curb revenue leakage through fostering integrity. The Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development reflects on its key strides and challenges faced in 2024. Could regulating the feed sector boost local companies? We speak with the chairman, UGFMA, for insights. And on the international scene, experts warn that Donald Trump's latest tariff threats could backfire. With this and more, this is the Business Roundup. In our first report, Uganda Revenue Authority's processes have increasingly become a fertile ground for corruption, says John Musinguzi, the Commissioner General, URA. Speaking at the URA Integrity Forum, John Musinguzi highlighted challenges of revenue leakage and corruption within the business landscape, pledging decisive action to address these issues.
The URA Integrity Forum, Kampala edition, sought to combat corruption and revenue leakage that not only robs the economy a significant amount of money, but also slows down social and economic development. Annually, over 450 billion is lost in potential tax revenue.
We have committed ourselves in establishing integrity as one of our core values. I explained that point exclusively. We have sensitized our staff, we've sensitized our partners, the path that we must take, the path of integrity. If anybody does not heed to that call, then there will be penalty for not heeding to the call of sensitization. And that's why we have this whole division of staff compliance and ethics, whose job is to investigate any complaints and present them to the disciplinary panels, and then the punishment for corruption is expulsion from the organization.
A forum comes at a time when the cases of collusion between URA staff and the taxpayer are on the rise. The trend has seen 140 staff contracts terminated.
There has never been a time when URA has lost so many staff like we have lost to this scourge of corruption. 140 dismissed because of involvement in corruption. So many investigated, and the investigations will lead somewhere. Now they're going through the disciplinary process. Because even the dismissal must be fair. We can't send someone on hearsay. We must get evidence that you actually did wrong.
URA Commissioner General John Musinguzi says the tax body, widening the net, nabbed the corrupt taxpayers and agents too.
And we shall also extend the cleaning road to our partners. If you're an agent who wants to deal with us, you must be clean. If you're a tax advisor who wants to deal with us, you must be clean. Otherwise, we will follow you there. And then, of course, even the taxpayer. Be noble, be clean, pay your taxes. Don't pay people to cut corners. Because if you don't, we shall also come for you.
In the meeting, various stakeholders in the business sphere raised concerns about URA's combative nature and fighting corruption, which they say has created a big rift.
Enforcement, like after clearing your goods, after paying all the taxes, get the clearance of the URA, again, they impound you when you are taking your things to the shop, and they stop you, send you back to URA.
Many URA processes have become fertile ground for corruption. For example, the clearance of imports. Another form of corruption manifests through the use of clearance agents.
I'm talking now as a customs agents. The customs procedure tend not to be known by the taxpayer. And once they are not known by the taxpayer, then there are tendencies of people taking advantage. But we have been working hand in hand with the URA to see that more information is disseminated to the taxpayer, and more especially the importers who we deal with, so that they know each and everybody. And the most other important thing about this is that the taxpayer out there, things as straight as get an assessment and go to the bank. The taxpayer out there, I don't know why he does not ask for an assessment and he gives money to an individual. So we are all in this, if you look at it, we are all in this. Why would the taxpayer not ask for an assessment and pay in the bank. So this is where the problem is coming. We are all in this, but we are working together to see that it's being followed.
In the local down, the import duty was increased from 25% to 35%. So that kind of high taxes, traders are fighting to see that they remain in their business. So they ending up paying a lot of money to clear their goods. So it is forcing them to bribe somehow to see that they can get enough profit.
Meanwhile, URA has urged all taxpayers to take advantage of the ongoing tax waiver through paying their outstanding principal tax by December 30th, and all penalties and interest shall be waived.
Uganda's journey in transforming its energy and mineral sector is both intricate and promising, according to Dr. Patricia Litho, the Assistant Commissioner for Communications at the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. Dr. Litho highlights the significant strides made in 2024 and their far-reaching impact on the country's energy and extractive industries.
Over the years, Uganda has seen significant capacity building in extractives and energy sectors. This progress has boosted the country's visibility both locally and globally. According to the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, Uganda is currently implementing second-generation reforms in these critical sectors.
Because much as hydro is renewable, and many people always think about renewable being solar alone, we realize it is not sufficient. The way we realize that sometimes having different sources of energy, localizing it, as opposed to moving the grid over 300, 500 kilometers, we can also locally generate energy. So we are promoting small hydro power plants. We are promoting solar generated power that serves the immediate environment but also can contribute to the main grid. So now one of the new investment areas we are looking at is nuclear power as a possible generation source of power, but for peaceful purposes. So that is why government is moving into that direction.
In an exclusive interview, Dr. Patricia Litho, the Assistant Commissioner for Communications at the Ministry, shares key developments in 2024 and their impact on the energy and extractive sectors.
But Uganda is determined to deliver to Ugandan this oil. So we are continuing with laying the pipes, we are continuing with further exploration, and we are doing everything to ensure our refinery is up and running. We have government back in charge of purchasing, importing and exporting, so UNOC has taken charge, and within the last few months there's already a difference. There's drop in prices. Some of it is attributed to the general global price dropping, but also the fact that government itself is bringing on board, it's able to offer a subsidy. So that is why there's a lot of activity in the energy sector. But also we must remember that it is energy and mineral development, the extractives.
Energy and extractives are a vast mandate that comes with high expectations from both the public and key stakeholders. These expectations are driven by capital-intensive infrastructure development and evolving sector dynamics. Dr. Litho acknowledges that with changes in commercial oil production timeline, skepticism among stakeholders has been rising. The category that feels more disheartened is the business category, she notes.
Because of the investment, the borrowing that has been there, but some of them have already seen that from what they invested in local content, especially people in agriculture have already benefited from that. Those supplying those areas, those have invested in real estate and entertainment and hotels in that area have already recouped something. Not as much as they had hoped, but there's definite hope in the future.
The ministry remains committed to creating a sustainable and inclusive future through innovation, technology, financing, regional collaboration and policy reforms, paving the way for a brighter tomorrow. Dennis Igor for UBC Business.
Uganda Animal Feeds Manufacturers Association has drafted a proposal urging government to regulate the export of raw materials in key sectors. In a Zoom interview with BRU from Belgium, Aimebo Mbarushimana, the chairman, UGAFMA, said that the unregulated export of raw materials is hurting the growth of the animal feeds industry. This has in turn made the sector overly dependent on imports. We have the details.
The estimated value of animal feed imports into Uganda is approximately $25 to $30 million annually. These imports include a range of feed ingredients and additives such as premixes, vitamins, amino acids and processed feeds, primarily from countries like Kenya, China, India and Europe. While imports play a critical role in sustaining the sector, Uganda Animal Feeds Manufacturers Association is calling for the prioritization of Uganda's economic interests by the regulation of raw material exports to protect local industries and maintain stability.
When I say that, it is necessary that government, through Ministry of Agriculture, gives UGAFMA the license to control importation and exportation of animal feeds and raw materials. The reason why I'm saying that is
you can see I'm smiling because it sounds like you're asking for a monopoly.
No, it's not a monopoly because at the end of the day, UGAFMA doesn't belong to Aimebo Mbarushimana. No, it will help us regulate these irregularities that are there. Because, for example, I've been a very strong advocate for VAT on imported concentrates or even animal inputs from beyond the East African community. And this is something that we need to understand and appreciate. The reason why this is to protect the small industries that we have, even the investments we have. Then let's think about this. For example, we're having the HUS doing a wonderful import substitution project, putting for us a fish factory in Jinja, and it's really beautiful because we're looking at, we're no longer going to be having to import certain feeds from outside because we have a manufacturer who's doing it locally. But if you do not protect him from the influx of concentrates coming from other economies.
Uganda's animal feed imports are projected to reach 63 million kilograms in 2028, up from around 50 million kilograms in 2023. On the other hand, feed exports are expected to climb to approximately 336 million kilograms by 2028.
Sorry for the interruption. It's about our capacity as a country. Of course, you've mentioned UDB here, UDB there, which of course is meant to give maybe the business community loan at a lower interest rate. So looking at the side of capacity, do we have do you have your members who are willing to set up high-end factories? And then secondly, there is that issue that we've always tried to deal with, and it's Buy Uganda, Build Uganda. The Buy Uganda, Build Uganda policy. Of course, we have it, but there is always this thing whereby I've been to very many fishing, the fish farms, commercial fish farms, and you notice that almost everything that they have there is foreign. Like you get lost yourself. Why is it that we do have all these imported truckloads of feeds coming from elsewhere? Then you get here, the interaction, they tell me that what we produce here is substandard. Is that true from the perspective? Because you're the one who deals with these people. You are the chairman of UGAFMA.
So the first question is what you said, and I really like that you brought it on and re-emphasized it. The international level of trade in animal feeds internationally, it's changing. I'm here in Europe. European Union is cutting down on support and subsidiaries that they're giving to farmers.
Exactly.
Factories are closing. Companies are closing in Europe. Now they're looking for the next hot place to be, and this is Africa.
Africa, yeah.
In Holland, it's itself, because of the size of the country, they're reducing the number of cows that they should be having. So now imagine such companies who have invested so much multi-million investment, they will not stop to produce. They will look for where to put their investment. Now, it becomes something difficult for an economy like Uganda to say no to such juicy investments that are coming in. But much as the fruit is so juicy, it's sad that we do not really make any gain from it. Because once they make the profits, because of lack of interpretation and understanding, most of the profits stay within the spiral of the companies, and little investment is done.
According to UGAFMA, the key challenges facing Uganda's animal feeds industry include price stability from speculative buying, high financing costs, and restricted raw material exports and underdevelopment of local industries.
All these Dutch companies come, all these Belgian companies coming, all these Chinese companies come, is because we have potential in our country. But unfortunately, because we're not regulating our industry, we're not mechanizing our industry. I'm so grateful for the president with the parish development model that he's put on. It is enticing the farmers to understand that, hey, if I do the things the right way, I'm going to get money. I don't need to say government or Tuyambe. You get me? Now imagine if we could control and regulate our raw material production, input and output. My friend, who will be excelling in the region. Remember, Kenya is getting desertified, so desert is coming. That's why they are accepting to have the GMOs coming through. And Uganda become the champion for biofoods because we're blessed with land that can take on for crops 1 to 2, 3 seasons. So that's something that we really need to tap in. And the way forward for UGAFMA, we are looking forward to work with these multinationals that are coming through. As a matter of the fact, here in Europe, where I'm traveling, I've been to Holland. I've met with a few companies. The other time, I had a virtual meeting with a company in Turkey. I'm having conversations with some companies in
The proposed solutions as per the draft proposal include regulation of raw materials export, promotion of value addition, empowering of local oversight bodies, and ensuring the stakeholders access affordable finances. Aime Bombarishimana, the chairman UGAFMA, emphasized that local companies have proven their capacity to add value to raw materials. However, unrestricted raw material exports deprive these companies of the necessary inputs, thereby stunting their growth.
Thank you so much for having you on this on the show. Of course, on the news, UBC, as well as the Business Roundup. But as we come close to the tail end of this interview, what would be a parting shot to your members here in Uganda who will be watching you live on UBC?
So my message is thank you for the continuous follow-ups. And really, if you do meet Dennis in Kampala or anywhere, say hello to this gentleman. Him and his team have been really helpful to UGAFMA because through this channel, we speak to the whole country. And I'm telling my members and people in the animal feeds industry in Uganda, the law is coming. They're going to start implementing it. Please learn, find out from UGAFMA, find out from Ministry of Finance, find out from the district officers who are from Ministry of Agriculture how to make the right feeds. And the future, much as is difficult, we can manage. And Dennis, as we wrap up the year, I'm really thankful to you and your team for the continuity, and I'm looking forward to further interesting 2025 with you and all the fellow Ugandans. And may God continuously bless you and all of us.
You too. Asante sana. Thank you.
Asante.
On the international scene, experts are warning that Donald Trump's threat to slap 100% tariffs on BRICS nations trying to move away from the US dollar in the international trade could backfire. But some think forcing the use of the US dollar could actually accelerate a trend away from it. Tony Waterman of CGTN explains.
The US dollar has been the world's reserve currency since the end of World War II. It's fundamental to international trade, global investments, and a cushion against economic shocks. But gradually, the greenback has been losing some of its edge, especially in countries vulnerable to U.S. sanctions.
I think it's political. They're tired of the homogeny of just the U.S. currency being the only place to go, which gives the U.S. a lot of power, both at home and abroad.
While the U.S. dollar still dominates international trade, it has ceded ground as the foreign exchange reserve currency of choice. Its global share dropping more than 10 percentage points since 2000, as more countries pile into gold and non-traditional currencies like the Canadian dollar and Chinese yuan.
The international use of the renminbi still lags far behind the U.S. dollar, but some experts are now saying that Donald Trump could be a game changer. He's threatened to slap tariffs on BRICS nations if they move away from the USD, something they and other countries have been discussing in recent years.
Trump sees tariffs as a way to protect the greenback's dominance, but some say the strategy could backfire.
I think it will accelerate the de-dollarization, and they're going to start using as much as they can their own currencies and try and get commodities priced in their currency rather than in dollars.
Experts say China could be a big winner in any de-dollarization, even if only on the margins. Beijing has been pushing to internationalize the renminbi for the past decade, developing a cross-border payment system that bypasses the dollar and expanding swap lines. The renminbi is now the 5th most used currency in the world, up from 35. And according to Chinese government data, use of the yuan in cross-border trade hit record highs this year.
I think there is a risk on the dollarization side. I think that risk is small in terms of magnitude, but in terms of intensity or desire or political will to extend into other currencies, I think it's dangerous on that front.
Most agree that the U.S. dollar will remain king for the foreseeable future, even as some countries plot a move away from it. Tony Waterman, CGTN, Austin, Texas.
And working with Malaria Free Uganda, because we are part of Malaria Free Uganda as private sector, we have acquired or bought 4 centrifuges and 3 agitators. And all these are meant to help UBTS in terms of their work, how they collect and how they keep and manage use of blood to support especially malaria patients. And in this case, we are also talking about cancer patients because of the work that they do, whether it's to provide platelets or blood itself. So today, this is for us as a bank, it's such a meaningful thing for us. We started actually doing this and being part of Malaria Free Uganda almost 4 years ago, and part of an initiative that mobilizes the private sector to support government as far as the fight against malaria is concerned.
Sipi Falls, a series of 3 waterfalls, is located on the foothills of Mountain Elgon. The falls, one of the major tourist attractions in the eastern region of Uganda, is popular for hiking, tours and abseiling. The scenic falls features in our Sounds of Business.